Well, we in the dairy industry felt that it was important and necessary to send a very strong message to our Mexican producers and processors in terms of the dairy industry in Mexico, that we are keenly aware of the anxiety and concern that they now have about their relationship with the United States, and we wanted to reassure them that this relationship was important. So our goal was to reassure the Mexicans that we believe in this relationship, we believe in NAFTA. NAFTA has worked for agriculture in Mexico, and we wanted to preserve what is best about NAFTA and strengthen what isn't working as well. And we tried to reassure folks that right now there's a lot of uncertainty because there are not the people in place to provide the assistance and help to the President to make decisions. And it's also the Secretary of Agriculture. We do not yet have Governor Perdue confirmed, so he's not there to be able to remind folks of the importance of agriculture in these trade discussions.
Now, one of the things that President Trump has said repeatedly after backing out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, he said America could secure a better deal by forming bilateral trade agreements. What, in your mind, is the probability of getting some of these bilateral agreements accomplished with those partners in Southeast Asia?
When we enter into bilateral agreements, essentially TPP is not the ceiling, it's the floor, and what can we add on top of it? That creates complexity. The other thing that's a challenge in bilateral agreements is, again, we're dealing with countries where agriculture is their number one or number two interest and issue. It may not be number one or number two or number three or number four on our list. Oftentimes you're seeing ag essentially negotiated in the context of getting something for steel or getting something from autos. So it's complex. At the same time that's happening, or we're trying to make that happen without people in place, again, the rest of the world has not stopped. The EU is now in the process of trying to negotiate. China is coming in and is basically saying to these Asian nations, hey, you know what, the U.S. can't be counted on. How about you come with us and we'll form an all-Asia trade agreement?
You were the only Obama appointee upon leaving office to actually endorse the Trump appointee, Governor Sonny Perdue. As we move into 2018, we will be tackling another farm bill, and the margin protection program in dairy is one of those things that would appear that we might try to make some changes to. What have you heard about potential changes? Is that an issue you still are keeping an eye on?
Well, because of the way in which the U.S. Dairy Export Council is funded with checkoff dollars, with USDA resources from the Foreign Ag Service and membership dues, I have to be careful about opining about policy. But I would say this, that the discussion of the Farm Bill will clearly involve the margin protection program. I think people throughout the country are not convinced it's done everything it needs to do, and it's not as useful as people thought it might be, and not as many producers are participating as there need to be. So I'm sure that policymakers will be looking at improvements. However, those improvements will be costly. But you don't have that conversation if the first thing you say, as is often the case now in Washington, we have to cut X number of dollars. What that does is it begins the conversation of, okay, I got to protect what I have, and I don't care what you need or what we need, I got to protect my piece of the pie. That pits every commodity group against one another, commits commodity groups against nutrition, nutrition against forestry, forestry against trade, trade against conservation. It's a mess, and it makes it much more difficult to get a farm bill through. So, to me, it's important for people who are supportive of farm bill programs, first of all, to stop calling it just a farm bill, because it's more than that. It's a jobs bill, it's a trade bill, it's a conservation bill, it's a nutrition bill. It's a nutrition bill. It's a lot of things that's important to every single American. But we need to have a much better and different conversation than we had starting the process, and hopefully we get a better product as a result of starting the conversation properly.